Hello there. So today we're making a clock in Scratch. To start things off, we need the shape of the clock. So I'm going to go ahead and delete my clock, or delete my cat over here and just try to look at a clock, what it looks like. So I'm going to start by just going ahead and drawing on the background here. And, well, let's start with the basic idea of the shape. So we want, let's say, a gray clock, or dark gray clock. I'm going to start by selecting my dark gray color, place a dot somewhere on my screen. The dot is so that I can get a perfect circle. You can use the circle tool, but it won't be a perfect shape. I'm going to make this dot much bigger. Center it. Centering is very important with this project. I'm going to increase line width, maybe around 30 or 20 is good. And line width can be black, let's say. Actually, let's do something interesting here. We're going to make line width, the line white, and then we're going to put a pitch black square behind it. What I'm going to do is, yeah, we just need one circle for this project. It's very nice. And I'll call this backdrop clock template. Now this is the not moving part of the clock. For the moving part of the clock and the ticks, well, that would be tedious to draw. And so anything that moves or can be programmed faster than to actually draw, we're going to make a spray. And so what I'm going to do is go ahead and paint a spray. And I'm just going to place some little ticks all over the clock to represent the hours and the minutes. So these tiny little markers on the side of the clock. Once again, center it so that the beginning of the line or the end of the line is the center of the screen. This should work nicely. Alright, next up, I need to basically create a little program that will distribute them all very nicely. So to do this, I'm going to say when the flag is clicked, we should start our marker here at the center of the screen and draw the hour markers. Now, in order to draw the hour markers, I'm just going to set up a simple loop. Let's see, there's 12 hour markers and a 360-degree circle. So, 360 divided by 12 will tell us how many degrees apart each of these are from the center, and that is 30 degrees separation. So, I'm going to say turn 30 degrees, and repeat that 12 times. This way we'll have 12 markers, or we'll be able to place 12 markers. Now, every time I turn 30 degrees, let's say we want to start in a direction of 90 as a default. We'll say a direction of 0 as a default, so it makes more sense. Every time we turn 30 degrees, we essentially want to place a picture. And so I'm going to import pen and ask my computer to just simply stamp. But rather than stamping from the center, we want to move out a bunch of steps. We'll say something like 100 for now. And then stamp ourselves. We of course want to say move negative 100 after that, so that we go back to the center of the screen. You could also just say go to X or Y there. Let's try this out. There we go. We get an idea of what's going on here. Now we just have to adjust some numbers, and I think 140 or 130 might be a bit of a better number. Alright, so I found something that I like over here. And yeah, so it's up to you what perfect looks like. This could be perfect for me, or it could be something completely different. Whatever the case, I said move 145 steps. This will be different for everyone depending on how big your clock is. Now, one other thing I want to do is add a hide block to the very front here. Fun fact, you can still stamp a picture while your object's hidden, so it works out. The next step is to do the same thing, except rather than for hour hands, I want to do it for minute hands. So I'm going to basically just duplicate this code and say, okay, well this time we have 60 markers, because we have 1 minute worth of minutes. Sorry, 1 hour's worth of minutes, which is 60 minutes, or seconds in a minute, which is 60 seconds. And I say, okay, out of 360 degrees, how much degrees per second? And that is 6. So I'm going to say, okay, instead of turning 30 degrees, this time we're going to turn 6 degrees. Instead of repeat 12, we're going to repeat 60. Lastly, there is one other difference. We need to choose what costume we're on for each of these. And so for one of them, we want to be on the hour marker, and the other we want to be on the minute marker. And just like that, we've got some nice minutes and hours. Now this is working great already, but there is one other thing I want to add to this clock to make it just a little bit better. I want this to generate instantly. Right now, if I click the flag, I have to wait a second before I can launch my project. In order to speed this process up, what I can do is go to My Blocks and say, choose any old name for it, and click Run without screen refresh. My name is going to be Generate Clock to say what it does. Now then, I'm just going to go ahead and plant my code over there and activate the block, and what I should see is, boom, instant clock. I can click the flag, everything goes black. Instantly generates my clock. Alright, lastly, I'm going to name clock down here, and then we're all set for this template. Next up is the hands. So, first step with these hands are actually drawing the hands, so I'm going to just start there. Start with a red line. A very red and thin line, that'll count the seconds on your clock. Great, so you've got it. Now make sure that you do name it up here. I called mine seconds. We're also going to make a minute and hour hand. The hour hand is going to be a little bit shorter and gray. Alright, so I've got my clocks over here. Once again, make sure that you name them. The shortest one is going to be the hours, and the longer one is going to be minutes. And of course, the longest one, which is just a red thin line, is seconds. That's not always on a clock, but we're going to include it for this project. Great. Next up, we want to create 3 clones of these guys, so that we have, of course, 3 different hands on our clock here. Now, to do this, I'm going to simply say, when the flag is clicked, repeat 3 times, switch to the next costume, and create a clone of myself. Now, if you have more than 3 costumes for some reason, you might have to adjust this code, but you want to create a clone of each picture. One clone with a different picture for each of them. Then, we're going to say, when we start as a clone, in a forever loop, point in direction 90. Now, in this point in direction 90 block, we basically need a bit of an equation. We're going to be taking the time from the blue sensing section, which can tell us the current hour, minute, or second, and we're going to multiply that by how many degrees we have to turn for each second. Now, earlier, if we remember, each marker on the clock is placed 6 degrees apart from each other, and what that means is for every 1 second difference, we have to multiply by 6 degrees in order to show that on a clock. And so what I can do is say point in direction current second times 6. Now, as you can see, we're keeping track of seconds, just like that. However, all 3 of our pointers are pointing to that second, and, well, that's not what some of them are for. What we're going to do next is say if, and basically say only run this code if your costume is a seconds costume. We can find the name of a costume in the bottom of the look section. There's a block called costume number, which we can switch over to name, just like that. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for my minutes and hours. Now, the key difference here is going to be that for each of these, well, rather than testing for each second or minute, you want to test for each minute or hour. And secondly, while minutes are multiplied by 6, hours is not. Minutes and seconds are the same markers on the screen because there's 60 of them. However, there's only 12 hours in a day, or 12 hours on the clock. There's 24 hours in a day. And each of these bigger markers are actually 30 degrees apart. Once again, we got this number because that's what we multiplied earlier, so 30 degrees. We know that that's how apart each of the hour markers are. And if we go ahead and just tell my computer to, okay, hide your original and show your clones, we should now see that this is displaying the correct time. It is 1:58 where I'm at, and this counter here is pointing to 1 o'clock, 58th minute. I'm not sure what second it is, but the second that this hits the 60th second, we should go on to the next minute.